horse talk. And did you know that over 50% of horses, wherever it's sport horses or leisure horses, show abnormal behavior while tacked up? This is something that Susan Dyson et al. Found in 2021 in a study that is published in Equine Veterinary Education, where they studied 193 different horses from 11 different stables. And they, basically noted the horse's behavior when saddled and tacked up. And the abnormal and at times even aggressive behaviors were found in 67% of the horses. So if you have a horse, it is actually more likely that your horse is showing abnormal behavior when tacked up than it isn't. Yes, so there's a huge risk that the majority of horses are having issues when saddled and tacked up. And these issues are obviously also going to make the horse, hold on to tension and become unpredictable and difficult when ridden, because what happens on the ground, we obviously bring with us into the riding. So let me know in the comments below if your horse is showing any abnormal behaviors when tacked up and ridden, because I am going to dedicate this horse talk to stuff we can do to solve this. Because the article didn't say anything about how to solve, and not that much about how to solve it. It was basically an observation. And what's also funny is that Susan Dyson and et al., they did a follow-up study, I think the year after, where they asked the owners of the horse if they noticed this abnormal behavior. And only 34% of the owners noticed the abnormal behavior. But when 67% of the horses show the behavior and only about 30% notice it, there's obviously a huge gap between what, equestrian behaviorists and veterinarians notice and what the owners notice. So if you go like now, nah, my horse is perfect when saddled and tacked, I have no issues whatsoever, it could be actually that you are not recognizing the issues. And it could also be that your horse isn't allowed to show the issues either. So if you have a habit of grooming and saddling and tacking your horse while your horse is in cross ties, it is obviously very hard for the horse to communicate how they feel when tied up in a way that prevents them from moving their neck and body. Yes, but that's a different topic. But if you suspect, or if you, want to make sure that your horse isn't uncomfortable when tacked up, a good place to start is with the actual tack. And make sure that your bit or your bridleless equipment or whatever head equipment you use actually fits the horse. And I have a great tip for bit fitting that I learned from my veterinarian, Ingrid Sandanger, who had been to a bit fitting course. And she basically told me that if you want to test what bit your horse likes the most, take the bit without the bridle or anything, just the bit, and put it in the horse's mouth. And if they spit it out, they don't like it. But if they kind of suck onto it and keep it in their mouth, they actually like it. And it could also be a good advice to check your horse's teeth and mouth regularly with a professional veterinarian who knows how to do this, because the way the horses chew grass and forage makes their teeth sharp on the outside in the upper jaw and on the inside in the lower jaw. And you could also find wolf teeth and other stuff in your horse's mouth that makes the tack uncomfortable. And you obviously do the same with the saddle. Make sure that your saddle actually fits the horse and isn't making your horse uncomfortable. And here I actually have a video where I show kind of some basic stuff you can do to make sure that the saddle is fitting. And I have also splurged on some very, very good girths from Stubben. I think they are called Equisoft. And after I bought one of those, I definitely started buying more of them, because with the kind of elastic system in this girth makes them very, very comfortable for the horse. And when horses are cantering and such, they widen their chest, and this girth gives room for that to happen when the horse is ridden. So good girth also does wonders. So yes, check the equipment, check the teeth. And another thing that you might also want to check is if your horse is having ulcers. Because up to 80% of horses living in stables, they have ulcers, which is going to show as nippiness and reluctance, especially when the horse is girthed. So yeah, treat for ulcers if you suspect them. But the third thing, which I think is the most important, because if our horse has had teeth issues making the horse uncomfortable with the bridle, or the bit hasn't been fitted, or the saddle hasn't been fitted, or the girth has been too tight, although we solve these things, the behavior that the horse is doing doesn't necessarily go away, because horses, they are associative learners. So once the horse has then started to associate the tack with pain and discomfort, even though we solve the pain and discomfort, the behavior is very often still there. So let me know in the comments below if you have experienced something like that with your horse. I have definitely experienced this many times. So even though the ulcers are treated, the horse might still nip when with the girth, because the behavior is still there, although the ulcers are gone. And I think the only way to solve this is to actually saddle and tack your horse up at liberty, because we can't really get a yes without the horse having the possibility to say no. And tying them up basically only makes it worse, because if we have a horse who has this abnormal behavior when saddled, and we basically just tie them tighter so they can't show the behavior, it's not gonna solve it. Then, although we are then able to put the saddle on the horse without being bitten or without the horse moving off, the horse isn't comfortable with this, and tension is going to build in the horse that will then later show in the riding, making the horse unpredictable, stiffer, not as responsive to signals, etc. So we really want to solve this so that we are able to, tack up our horse with what I would call a consensus from the horse. And the only way to do this is to be doing it at liberty without tying the horse up. And this is actually very easy. And I have a free training showing you how you can, basically teach your horse to park so that you can saddle, groom, and even fetch stuff while your horse is able to stand without being tied. And if you want to learn how to do this, then check out ridelikeaviking.no/park or comment yes below, and I will send you the free training, which is actually brand new. And many horse owners have already gotten results from this specific training, which are then usually paying members. But now you get the chance to learn this for free. And it only takes minutes. And your horse is going to learn to stand at liberty without being tied while you are tacking up and grooming your horse. And you will also be able to communicate with your horse in a completely different way, so that you then can bring this consensus and connection with you into the riding, and obviously also solve saddling and bridling issues. Yes, which are quite common, more common than you know. And I would probably not ride a horse if I wasn't able to saddle and groom it at liberty. I would do that first. Yes. To make sure everything is okay. Yes, Deborah says here, I'd love the link for the training, please. Yes, I will post it here in the comments below for you so that you can watch it. And thank you so much for joining. And I know you are going to rock this. So it's going to make a huge difference in your relationship with your horse. And it might also even impress your fellow equestrians at your stable when they see how you are able to park your horse without the horse being tied and, you know, do the grooming and tacking up and everything with the horse's consensus and by communicating with the horse and not relying on having the horse tied. So best of luck with this and looking very much forward to see you on the inside of this free training. Okay, thank you so much for joining and see you next time. Bye for now.